I wanted to start doing something a little different on this channel, and I wanted to share some of my practice sessions. I haven't been playing pool for that long, but I have progressed relatively quickly in a short time that I have been competing. And people that I know in the pool world have talked about how they'd be really interested in watching me practice, so I wanted to show how I got where I am and kind of like what dedicated practice looks like. However, so you're not just seeing me hit in balls and it's not super boring, I also wanted to share some thoughts, opinions, and some advice. Kind of like a little pool vlog. And today's video is pool mantras that will make you win. These are mantras I say to myself while playing pool, and those that have seen me play pool know that I do talk to myself while playing. So if you ever see me muttering to myself while playing, there's a chance it is one of these things. And just a quick disclaimer, I am an amateur pool player. Sure, I am an APA 7 in 8-ball, and I have like a lifetime win rate of around 75%, but I am nowhere near a pro nor the best player in the world. However, through my time competing in pool, I have found a few pool mantras or concepts that help me increase my chances of winning. I wanted to share how I think of the game, and maybe it'll help you win more too. Unless you're playing against me, then forget everything I'm about to tell you. The first mantra is make a decision. The best way to increase your chances of winning a pool match is by making winning decisions. This can be choosing to shoot the right ball, shooting the correct pattern, or deciding to play a safety at the right time. However, you might not have an obvious winning decision. Likely you won't. You're not going to know what to do. There's just so many options in the game of pool. You might see 1, 2 options. Sometimes you might even see like 5 options. However, before you shoot your shot, you have to come to a single decision. Not 3, not 2. Make a single decision on what your plan is. Now that plan might be terrible, or it could go horribly wrong when you execute, but you should not be shooting a ball with competing ideas in your head. For starters, having no clear decision increases your chance of missing the shot exponentially because you're just so confused and unsure. Like, if you're taking a hard shot but you're also thinking about a safety, you can't really do that because in order to make the hard shot, you need to be focusing 100% on making that shot. Something interesting that I found as well is if you're stuck between two different shot selections where one you're shooting with a lot of speed and power to get the cue ball to go around the table, and another shot selection that's super soft where you try to hold the cue ball on one side of the table, if you shoot with those two competing speeds in your head, your subconscious mind and body will actually average out the speed in between both of those shots, and you'll end up hitting a speed in between both of those, and you'll end up at the midpoint on the table between both of those speeds. And usually, you wanted to hit hard or soft because you didn't want to end up at that midpoint. You wanted to end up at the point that required you to hit hard or soft. Now, at the midpoint, you either, at best, have bad position, or more likely, you have no shot. And this is easier said than done. I still shoot with multiple ideas in my head sometimes, but the phrase, make a decision, helps me decrease the chances of that happening. And when you practice making a single decision, it will become more of a habit and it will become easier. So every time you shoot a ball in a match, make sure that you have a single decision made. Have a plan with each shot, and whether it's a safety, a bank, or taking a difficult shot instead of an easy shot, before you get down to shoot the ball, decide what you are going to do. Commit fully to that shot and forget about every other shot that's possible. Make a decision. Now, before I go on to the next mantra, I wanted to give some info on this straight shot drill that I'm doing. This is the first drill that I do when I get on a table to gain confidence in my stroke and my aiming. Or if I'm working on changing something in my stroke or routine, I always use this drill to hone it in since it's so simple. And since it's the first drill that I do, I thought it would be nice to start this series the same way. When you do this drill, what you want to focus on is hitting the cue ball low so that way you can apply backspin, but you want to hit it soft enough so that way when the cue ball starts sliding, it happens right when it makes contact with the object ball and the cue ball stops. The reason why you want to shoot low on a stop shot in this instance is because you can shoot the cue ball much slower and still have the stop effect as opposed to hitting it center ball where you have to hit it really hard. The slower that you can shoot the ball, the better the chance you have of making it go in. And as you get better at this drill, you can make the shots longer and longer, as I'm doing here. The second mantra is push the cue forward. Even when you end up making a decision, when shooting a ball, you may feel like you have so much to do. You have to apply the correct English on the cue ball, you need to hit it with the correct speed, you need to make sure that the ball that you're shooting at goes in, obviously, and you need to make sure that the cue ball breaks out a cluster so that you break out your balls and you get shape on your next shot, and that way your opponent doesn't see the table because they're shooting really well. Now, when you're shooting, you're thinking about so many different things or worried about so many different things outside of your control that you end up missing. No matter how many things you feel like you need to accomplish in a single shot, there is really only a few things that you can actually control. And one of the big things that you can control is pushing the cue straight forward. If you try and do too much by hitting like a certain English or focusing too much on making the ball, that can actually make your arm shift to the side when stroking, and you miss because you didn't push the cue straight forward. If you're missing a lot or you're faced with a very difficult shot in a match, forget about everything else when you're taking your shot. Just push the cue forward. It's surprising how much can fall into place when doing this one simple task. Speaking of pushing the cue forward, this high pressure long shot drill with the cue ball hugging the rail is a great example of when to think, just push the cue forward. These shots vary in difficulty, but whenever I'm struggling to make one, I stop focusing on making the ball and I bring my focus back to pushing the cue forward. And then, miraculously, I'm able to start making balls again. This drill helps with shot making, obviously, but it also helps you get comfortable shooting with the cue ball on the rail. And I got these drills from pro player Niels Feijen, and I'll put a link to the videos of these drills in the video description if you want to check them out. The third mantra is be more patient than your opponent. This one's pretty simple. Sometimes you have a layup that's near impossible to run out, where there's too big of a risk to try to run out, or maybe you're in a chess match with your opponent with a cluster of balls. In these times, if a safety presents itself, it's better to continuously play safe until your opponent tries something stupid and either opens up your problem or gives you ball in hand so you can do it in a much easier way. You don't need to be a hero. You need to win. Playing smart and taking high percentage safety shots over 2 or 3 rail banks, sometimes even 1 rail banks, will get you there. Be more patient than your opponent. On the flip side, mantra number 4 is jump off the cliff. Playing safe is great. However, I'd say most of the time you win a pool game, it's because you make all your balls, not because your opponent scratches on the 8 or the 9 ball. While there are those edge cases, in order to win, you're gonna have to make your balls. This means when an opportunity presents itself, you have to take it. This doesn't mean take uncalculated risks all willy-nilly. When a ball rolls into a position where you have a high chance to make something happen, even if missing does have a downside, you have to take that risk. You have to jump off that cliff. There really is never a risk-free shot in pool, no matter how much I'd like there to be. You're gonna have to take a risk to try and make a ball. The best thing you can do to mitigate the risk is to play a two-way to leave your opponent basically no shot. However, taking a leap can look like shooting a difficult problem ball early, or it can look like going for a breakout in a safety battle because you have the right angle. These shots can feel scary, and it's actually funny how intense or scary shooting balls off a table can sometimes feel. However, that fear is real, and if you let that fear overtake you, it can make you shaky and timid, so you end up either missing the shot or you get bad position because you hit it with the incorrect speed or English. However, if you know that you are going to take that leap, if you know you are going to jump off that cliff, taking that shot with confidence becomes so much easier. You increase your chances of making it and getting better position. For me personally, taking certain shots feels like jumping off a cliff, and I found that once I jump off the cliff, I have to trust that everything will be fine, and I'll either build a plane on the way down or I'll land in water, and ultimately I'll end up being fine. If I tense up and worry, I'll either be too scared to build something to save myself, or when I hit the water, it's gonna hurt a lot. When I trust completely after jumping off a cliff, it's amazing what wild shots, breakouts, and runouts I'm able to accomplish. Also, please don't actually jump off a cliff because some guy on YouTube that takes pool too seriously told you to. This is just a metaphor. And the last and my most uttered pool mantra, it might as well be my catchphrase, is there are no easy shots in pool. I don't care how good you are, I don't care how long you've been playing, I do not care if you've just got done practicing the exact shot on the table. There are no easy shots in pool. I do not care if it is a straight shot or if it's a pocket hanger. I have seen people, not just novice players, but really experienced players, miss these shots. I've seen them miss trying to get perfect position, or they end up scratching. There are no easy shots in pool. But what does this mean for you as a player? First, and less importantly, it means your opponent can miss at any time. So don't give up just because you're off the table and your opponent has 3 easy shots. There's a chance they can miss. If you want to win, give them as many opportunities to mess up as you can. But more importantly, when you're shooting, this mantra is a great reminder for you to treat every single shot with respect. You can't take any shot for granted. Like I said, I've seen good players miss quote-unquote easy shots. Heck, I've done that too. However, if you treat every shot with the same focus and dedication, which means even if it's an easy shot, you go through the entire pre-shot routine that you have a plan for where you want the cue ball to go, you make sure that you give the shot a good stroke, maybe you think about pushing the cue forward, I think somebody said that before, your chances of missing go way down. Question is, do you want to win, or do you want to be frustrated because you rattled a gimme shot trying to get perfect shape? There are no easy shots in pool. Alright, so those are some of the pool mantras that I use that help me win matches more regularly. I hope you can use them to win as well, unless you're playing me, of course. If you found them to be helpful, please like this video and subscribe to the channel. And if you have any pool mantras yourself, please share them below in the comments. I'd love to know how you approach the game, and maybe it'll help everybody watching get just a little bit better. Till next time.